All right, I'll go ahead and get started then to make sure that we have enough time. So I did a little bit of editing at the last minute because most of you are going to be new to the program. I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. So this is really going to be a beginning presentation, just an introduction to the Bumblebee monitoring program, um, what we're doing, what it entails, to find out if it's something that you want to go ahead and go through with and be a participant this year. So this is the fourth year that we've been doing Bumblebee monitoring and our third year with volunteers. We keep getting more each year, which is phenomenal. So we're really excited that you guys are interested in the program. Before I continue, I would like to give credit to the Bumblebee Brigade, which is run through the Wisconsin DNR. So their logo is at the top left of the screen there. They're responsible for coming up with the protocol that we have largely drawn on for Milwaukee County Parks for Bumblebee monitoring. And they are also the entity that receives all of the photo voucher submissions for Bumblebee monitoring for Milwaukee County Parks volunteers, but also throughout the state. So I would just like to give credit to them and thank them for that. We'll go ahead and jump in then. And this is a Zoom meeting, so please, at any point, if you have any questions, would like some clarification, go ahead and type that into the chat. And at the end of the presentation, I will go through those questions. So before starting the Bumblebee content, I'd just like to go ahead and let you guys know, if you're not familiar, who we are at the Natural Areas Program for Milwaukee County Parks. So for parks, there's about 15,000 acres of land, and the Natural Areas Program is responsible for managing a little over 10,000 acres, so plenty of land. We have within that 3 designated state natural areas, as well as 2 wetland gems, 14 miles of coastline along Lake Michigan, 85 miles of waterways, and we're also a major migration corridor. So because we have Lake Michigan to the east of us, that naturally funnels birds during their spring and fall migration. So the Natural Areas Program, we're responsible, our staff does a lot of different activities. Invasive species removal is a big component of that. We also plant trees, other native plants. We're in the middle of coming up with a new seed collection and propagation program within our parks. And of course, we do wildlife monitoring like this Bumblebee program just in the 4th year. And we also have a successful wetland monitoring program that I believe it's in its 7th year now. Soon to come will be a bird window strike program and probably more in future years. Yeah, so that's who we are. This slide is just to give you an overview of the Bumblebee monitoring program. Basically, why we're doing this is when we started this, we didn't know hardly anything about the bumblebees in our park system. So we want to establish a baseline of what bees are where are we not finding these different bee species, what kind of habitats do they like, what flowers are they visiting, because with this basic information, it will go ahead and inform our management decisions so that we can better manage them. So basically, for our volunteer monitors, you guys, we ask that you monitor your site. You basically take photographs of the bees, which are your photo vouchers. You submit them to this B3 website, that's the Wisconsin Bumblebee Brigade website, and then they verify those submissions. So that's that all in a nutshell, kind of. I'll go ahead and start out with why we chose bumblebees as our study organisms. They are very important for the ecosystem. So bumblebees, like other pollinators, they are responsible for pollinating a huge range of native plants. And those plants in turn they provide the habitat and food for many other species. So bumblebees are really foundational to the ecosystem. They're relatively easy to observe. I can tell you that in Milwaukee County Parks, we have found 11 of the 20 species of bumblebees in Wisconsin. So with the proper training, we'll go ahead and get you to be able to identify most of those species. So that's going to be a lot easier than a lot of our other bee species that are these solitary, really small species. So bumblebees are going to be bigger in size and a little bit easier to recognize and identify to a species level. Bumblebees, of course, we are monitoring them because we have seen for some species that they have declined their population numbers, how they're doing. So the image to the right is of the federally endangered rusty patch bumblebee. And that was a bee that actually used to be fairly common before the 1990s. It was widespread in the Midwest, as well as in the eastern parts of the United States. And we've seen in recent years that its population has declined by more than 90%, and now it's only found in small pockets. We are fortunate enough that in Milwaukee County Parks, we have found it in multiple park locations throughout the county. So the reasons that these bee species are declining, largely because of habitat loss. We have seen the flowers and habitat that they need to survive be developed or turn into agricultural land. But also other contributing factors are pesticides, disease, and climate change. So with this increased awareness in how bumblebees are faring, maybe they're not doing so well along with other pollinator species and insects, this has garnered increased public interest. So volunteers such as yourselves want to know what they can do to help. So that's been really fabulous. So that lends itself really well to community science. So you guys, as our volunteer monitors, you can go out and you can gather a lot more data than just our staff can do. We only have 4 full-time staff, so if we can add a lot more monitors, you guys helping us out, we'll get a lot more data, get a lot more information on these bees, and we can do much more to protect them thanks to you. It's been proven to work. There's no need for you to have an advanced degree. We just give you the training, make sure that you're comfortable and understand what you're doing, and you're able to participate in these real scientific studies and be a part of helping to conserve these species. It's really fantastic. So here are the basic program goals, which I already talked about a little bit in a previous slide, but we are establishing that baseline data of the bumblebees. Where are they? Where aren't they? How are they doing? Their numbers, flower associations, and habitat associations. So with that data, it goes ahead and informs those management decisions so that we're using the best science-backed data so that we can protect these populations and attract more bumblebees. And of course, what's also wonderful is that we're engaging you as the public and we're honoring community connections to the natural world. So this is an important slide. In a nutshell, it just kind of covers the survey protocol. So we ask you as volunteer monitors to choose a natural area. We'll work with you. So this is oftentimes a park or parkway that's very close to where you live or close to your place of work. We'll go ahead and provide you with a map that outlines in blue the expected bumblebee habitat where we imagine that the bumblebees are going to be most likely found. And I am very happy to go out and conduct a site visit with you to get you more comfortable with the location and give you any pointers about where bees might be. So we can talk about that in an email if you're interested. So we ask that you go out and conduct what are called incidental surveys 6 times through the year from May through October. So incidental surveys, just to sum it up, is basically going out there. If you see a bee, you take photos of it to get an ID, and you do that for all the different looking bees. You'll then go back and later on, you'll go through your photos, you'll curate them, and submit them to the Bumblebee Brigade website, and they will verify those submissions. And then finally, the Bumblebee Brigade, so they verify them. I realize that's a lot of information, so what I do have in a separate video is a tutorial for Milwaukee County Parks specifically for you guys submitting your data to the Bumblebee Brigade website to simplify things. So once I'm done with this presentation, I'm going to throw you those links in the chat, type those in there, and I will also go ahead and send them in a follow-up email for you to hopefully make things nice and clear so that you can know where to go next. So once again, like I said, this is submitting it to this portal. This is the website right there, that Waiatri website, and then the training video is available. I do want to note at the bottom there that the rusty patch bumblebee, it is a federally endangered species. So within Milwaukee County Parks, we do keep that information We don't share that information with anybody except our partners. So if you do find that species, we're very happy for you. That's very exciting. But please only share it with B3 and don't share that location with any other websites or with your friends telling them where they are so that we can protect these populations. So here's the equipment that you need for monitoring bumblebees. It's luckily pretty simple. You'll need a digital camera or a camera phone, and you'll want it basically to be able to take photographs that are 8 megapixels. You may choose, it's not necessary, but at the bottom left of the screen there, they make these handy lens attachments that you can just clip onto your smartphone, and that can go ahead and just kind of boost the quality of your image there. So that's something that you might be interested in. Otherwise, you'll need access to the internet to go ahead and upload those photographs later on for verification. And finally, you'll want this field guide. And that's another item that I will put into the chat for the link for you guys to download and print out or put on your phone. So it's a 2-sided document, and let me just move this out of my screen. Yes, it's got females on this side. The other side is going to be males. So this is something that you'll reference as you go back through your photos. And you'll kind of just look, you can see at first glance, the bees, you tell them apart by different colors and different patterns and different shapes, depending. So once again, I realize this is a good amount of information. I do have a separate video that I will send you the link, and it goes over identification of the 10 species that we had found in our parks as of 2020, as of last year. Yes, so that's a completely separate video with a lot of information, but that resource is available to you guys. And then when you're going out into the field, we definitely want you to be thinking about safety first. We're concerned with your safety. So oftentimes to follow the bumblebees, you'll see that you'll need to go off trail. So this might be in tall grasses, this might be in the woods. So we would recommend for clothing that you wear boots and long pants and potentially long sleeves. You might choose to wear bug spray, and then I would definitely recommend sunscreen for those sunny days. I don't think severe weather is going to be a concern for you guys because you're not going to be out there when it's extremely windy or in thunderstorm conditions, because the bees just aren't going to be out in that kind of weather. And you might choose, if you're surveying alone, to tell somebody where you're going before you head out. So just being, aware and being safe while you're out there in the field. Okay, so I realized that was a pretty good chunk of information. So from this point, you'll kind of have a better idea if you do want to participate in the program this year. We really hope that you do. I will go ahead and throw in the chat. There's going to be a lot of links. I'll send them in an email. Don't worry about covering everything at once. But there are waivers to fill out for new and returning volunteers for the volunteer and COVID waivers. Like I said, there are going to be the additional training videos. And I think once you watch them, once you have time for that, it's really going to clarify things even more than this orientation has. I know that some of you still will need a site and a map for those sites. So I'll be working on that this week to go ahead and give you all of that information. I will also provide you links. This is a really good time while there's not a lot of bees out for you to practice your ID skills. The B3 website has wonderful quizzes for different levels of experience for bumblebee monitors. So they have beginner ID quizzes, intermediate up to advanced. And I'll just put a plug in. B3 is offering at noon this Wednesday in 2 days an advanced ID webinar, Zoom meeting, one of those, to go ahead and practice. So this might be a little bit more advanced for beginners, but if you're a returning monitor, that is something you might find interesting. And finally, we are very excited this year to announce that we're going to be able to offer bumblebee walks. These will be field trips 5 times throughout the season to our different parks, which is going to be an excellent opportunity for you to go out there with the natural area staff and fellow bumblebee monitors and enthusiasts. And it's wonderful to talk out the ID with us and other people. It just really solidifies being able to identify these species and just enjoy the experience of chasing bumblebees around and taking photographs of them. So our first one is slated for the end of May. You can see right there at Weir Nature Center. If I didn't say, these will be on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so hopefully it works with everybody's schedule. And finally, just please reach out to me. This is the email, the same one, the Parks ComSci that you can reach me at. And then to the right there is my work cell phone number. Feel free to text or call with questions or concerns that you have about the program. I really want you to feel comfortable with this, and yeah, just get you to really enjoy the program. So like I said, it was just kind of an introduction to explain what the program is. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and send everybody these links. Like I said, I will email them to you. It's quite a lot there. So let's take a look. All right, I am seeing a question there from Woody. How do you recommend that people pick sites for monitoring? Good question. So that is something that I would recommend. Usually the easiest thing that works is if there's a park that's close to your house within walking, biking, or a short drive. We would say that because it's going to be more likely that you're comfortable with the site and that you can access it easily. So that kind of leads me into, I want to discuss a little bit the time requirements for it. So I had already mentioned that it was 6 separate site visits. So you can decide how long you want to be monitoring the site and taking pictures of bees for each time. Maybe in spring, if you go out this April or May, you might not see a lot of bees out there. So you might just spend 30 minutes or an hour out there. But if you're out there in July and you get really excited about the bees, you might be out there for 2 or 3 hours. So it's really up to you. I would recommend that you're out there at least for 30 minutes. But then for the time commitment, I would say it takes as much time, if not more, when you're going back through your photos and identifying those species and submitting them. So just seeing if this is a time frame that works for you guys. But otherwise, if there's a park, to get back to your question, Woody, that you're really interested in and maybe you don't necessarily live by, if you are a huge fan and you're adamant about going to that park, please let me know and we can make a way for you to do that one. All right, let me go back through, see if there's any more questions. All right, that's all I see for right now. So like I said, here are these links. So I have these as the first one in there because I think it's the next step for you guys if you're interested in the program to do these Milwaukee County Parks Bumblebee training videos. And these I recorded last year. So there's going to be one very similar to what I just did here, a little bit more in depth. It's an orientation to the program. And then there's going to be a video about identifying the bumblebees found specifically in Milwaukee County. And finally, that third video, that'll be the submission process, how to get all your photos and information input to the Bumblebee Brigade website. I see another question has popped up. That's a good question, Tom. So it doesn't have to be a Milwaukee County park. That is what benefits us for the Natural Areas program so that we know how the bees are doing in our parks, but the Wisconsin Bumblebee Brigade will take any sites. So you can still submit that information. If it's your yard, you see bumblebees there, go ahead and record that. Go ahead and take those photographs and submit it. That's more information that goes to their program that they would love. Yeah, so definitely. And you could do more than one site. Maybe you're doing a Milwaukee County park and maybe you're doing your yard as well. I know I was doing that for a couple of years there. So like I said, there's a lot of resources right there. So I would say check out those Milwaukee County Parks training videos first. And then I would say go to the Bumblebee Brigade website. They've got a lot of different tabs there, a lot of really useful information. They have their own training videos. So I would say that would be your number 2 place to go afterwards. Yeah, so if there's any more questions that I can answer for you guys, I'd be very glad to. Like I said, I know that was a lot of information and for a Monday evening, tried my best to keep it simplified. Okay, so with that, if there's not any more questions, I will go ahead and wrap this up. I'll just say one more time that I will send it, this information to you in an email. If not tomorrow, I would say the day after on Wednesday. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for attending. I really appreciate it.